over. Warning, incoming. Game over.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Game Over Ottawa. Maude and Damian here once again. And Damian, it seems like we got pretty lucky when we did the show against Detroit last week. That was the first win that we've actually covered together. And now we are right back to another loss when we do the post-game show together, as the Sens fall to the Sabres 5-2 and go 0 for 4 against them on the season series. How are you feeling after that one?
I don't understand it. Like, you couldn't get one win against the Save. I get it. They're sort of on a roll right now, but this team, they have nothing to blame but themselves, genuinely. And it was a bad night for out of town. Uh, like I'm fine with this team. I think they're going to make the playoffs and stuff. But my lord, you gotta take care of business sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
The Pittsburgh game I get, but this one, I don't care if you don't break and chuck in the line. They don't have Norris. They're starting their backup goaltender who plays like prime Hasek against us. But I think once again they beat themselves.
The Hasek thing is funny because they showed a stat on the broadcast that James Reimer is the only goalie with a better win percentage against the Senators than Dominik Hasek had in his career. So something about James Reimer that even though he's not on the Leafs anymore, he just absolutely destroys the Sens. And if I remember correctly, even in that game in Europe where Stützle scored the baseball bat goal on him, I don't think he started that game. I think their other goalie started and got pulled after it was 4-0. So that's the one moment that we have over James Reimer in his career. Otherwise, he just totally destroys us. And it happened again here tonight, as this was a game that was on paper, when you look at the stats, was pretty much dominated by the Sens, except it was their own mistakes that cost them pretty much. They definitely should have had more than 2 goals, but that's also on them for not being able to finish their chances. And then, we'll get into it later, but it wasn't exactly Buffalo being amazing, which is really frustrating because I don't want to...
No.
I never want to freak out after one loss. It's just that it's 4 losses and they're all bad to the Sabres now. That makes it tough.
Yeah, sure, we didn't play bad, I guess. It's just it reminded me so much of the old Sens, right? You dominate the possession of play. Your Corsi's great. You're keeping pucks to the outside, and then you're getting these great chances in the first period, and somehow their goaltender is making these miraculous saves. Puck goes back the other way, 1 chance, goal. Same thing. 3 minutes later, goal. A random shot from the point from Rasmus Dahlin, who's a great player, obviously. But then it's 2-0, and then obviously, the game's pretty much over by then. And then, they had some urgency towards the end, I guess. But they had, chances, too, to actually, get it rolling at the start of the period. The first period, right? They got 2 gifts with the power play. They got, or sorry, was it 3? I think it was 3.
Yeah.
Because they had the JBD cross check to the face of Stützle, which it's okay, that's a penalty technically, but are a lot of the refs calling it that at this point of the year? Probably not, especially since it was, I think, after the whistle. So a little bit generous there. And then the other one was I think it was Kozak who did the flip over the board, delay of game. Obviously, that's a free penalty. And then, sorry, I'm just gonna look up penalties. I blanked on the last one. It was Peterka, 2 minutes for interference on Giroux, which I didn't even see the replay on that one, and he was mad about it. So, hey, it's probably not. I don't think that was. I don't remember seeing anything. So honestly, 3 gifts, and no goals. And they got some chances, sure, but you got to bury against them.
Yeah,
Sabres.
That's the most frustrating part for me as well, is the beginning of this game, the first 30 minutes really, where the Sens had every opportunity to get themselves in the game, but just they almost it felt like they weren't creating enough opportunities for themselves in that first 30 minutes. Most of the best scoring chances that I can remember for the Sens in this game were in the back half of the game, especially in that last 10 minutes where they were really pushing. It was like they didn't have any urgency at all until time was running out. And I'm gonna go look up the Sabres penalty kill percentage because I figured this will just make me really mad. I might as well
I'll watch like 30th.
let's see. 10th last, if I'm looking at this correctly. 75.9%. So that gets a little bit of a boost today as the Sens couldn't get any power play work going. And it was one of those that's the thing, is like throughout this whole game, I think that they were mostly getting goalied by James Reimer, like at 5-on-5, but on the power play I really didn't think they were generating enough. It was a lot of just not getting a shot on goal and then chasing the puck back down the ice and trying to get set up again. It was just one of those nights on the power play where they really weren't generating much.
No, not really. Like, yeah, sure, you get some shots on net and stuff, but obviously when you take Brady off of the power play, that's a big part. That's like like you can sort of like a guy like Batherson, you can take off of your power play and like switch him around with someone and might not hurt that much. Or I don't know, someone like Cozens too, like someone like that. Timmy is a little bit different, I guess, because getting the puck in the zone, he's excellent at that. Maybe Sanderson too. But like Brady is just he is pretty much the best guy out front. When you think of like the overall package of what he is, like a 6'4", 225 power forward in front of the net, who shoots the puck a lot too. That's a key here, because when Brady Tkachuk is not on the power play, you have Drake Batherson, and then you have Tim Stützle wanting to pass the puck for like 30 seconds before they actually get the puck on the net, which is super frustrating because with Tim Stützle, he has scored 40 goals before, or 39, sure, 2 seasons ago. Why is he not shooting the puck more? Like, is it an injury? I don't know, because
Yeah, like last year it was an injury, but
yeah, it was.
we haven't heard anything about that this year, and I feel like we're back to Stutzle's form from last season where he just was not shooting the puck at all and just was looking to pass it all. Like he did have a few shots in this game, but there was a lot of opportunities where he should have rifled it to the net and he passed it off. That in the third period too, I think it was on the 6-on-4 before the empty net goal, where he had a chance to just walk right into the slot and rip it from the blue line, like walking in from the blue line into the slot, and he passes it off to Drake Batherson off his skates because no one was expecting that pass to come to them. Like it was such an obvious situation to shoot. So I don't know what's up with Timmy, but yeah, he needs to get that shooting mentality back into his game, because while he's had a much better season than he had last year, the goal total isn't like that much improved. And I feel like if a new Sens fan like hadn't watched the team 2 seasons ago, they had just watched like this season and last season, they almost wouldn't believe you when you say that Stuza scored almost 40 goals. Yeah. Like they would be confused as to how that ever could have happened. Yeah. And you're totally right as well about Tkachuk on the power play. They look totally lost without him, and not just in front of the net too, but an underrated thing about Tkachuk on the power play is, so like we all know that he's good at this on 5-on-5, is shielding the puck along the boards and winning puck battles too. A lot of the time when the power play goes to reverse it to the other side, rimming it around the net along the boards, the defenseman will try to cut that off, and Brady is really good at getting in there and winning the puck away from those defensemen and continuing the cycle. There was so many times tonight where the forward that was in that position would just constantly lose the battle, constantly losing board battles, and the Sabres just getting easy clears. So yeah, Brady Tkachuk sorely missed tonight.
Definitely. I don't know, because it seems like his injury is going back to the Four Nations, and we haven't really been in this position before with Tkachuk because he's been very durable over the years. Like, I think the most amount of games he's missed is like 10. Maybe that was his rookie year, which is a long time ago when you think about it. And and so this injury's been lingering now. But you can't like keep him out of the lineup for that long, I don't think. But then the issue is that like you got to get yourself into the playoffs first, and tonight was not helping. So you might have to get him to the lineup on Thursday against the Lightning. regardless, because
That's the problem, is that you have the Lightning and the Panthers up next.
yeah.
Brady was in the lineup for the last time we played those teams, but we were missing Norris, Pinto, and I think someone
Yeah.
else too. I think maybe Brady didn't play one of those games, something like that. Anyway, so we know that it's hard to play those teams when you're missing some of your top guys. And it's almost looking like Brady playing in that game against Pittsburgh might have been a mistake. If you just rested him for that game and put Crookshank in instead, and then you maybe have Brady back for tonight, or sit him twice because, you know, you should be able to beat Buffalo without him. But they can't even beat Buffalo with him, so who knows?
It's crazy. Like, he just adds a whole extra layer of oomph to this team. I feel like the team didn't have any swagger tonight.
Yeah,
They're gripping their sticks, and I don't know, like like, you know how I was saying that this team kind of felt like the old Sens tonight. It's not like sulking, but maybe they're trying to score the goals or whatever. But like, Stutz had like a backdoor pass and like an open net pretty much, and he shot it into Reimer. And my lord, because I don't want to pile on to Stützle too much because he's obviously like our best player pretty much. And but the thing is, it's like he's got to shoot it more, and and this is like a compliment to him because he has a fantastic shot. And I know I don't want to get too off the rails here, obviously, but you know, like a player that came into the league very quick and was like a star kind of right away, and then peaked really early was Matt Barzell. And
yeah.
Matt Barzell had a ton of assists in his first year. And then after that, he never developed like a shot or like a shooting mentality. And then he also played on the defensive Islanders. But people always talked about Barzell being this fantastic scoring star in the league. And he's getting paid like $9.5 million to do that. And I don't think he's been a point per game player since his rookie season in
Don't think
2018.
so.
So like, I'm not saying Stutz is going to be like that, but you know, when he gets older and once he gets to his 30s, the legs and the speed and the skill will be there, but the legs and the agility aren't going to be there as much as they were when you're 23. So now's the time to develop that shot and watch a guy like Nikita Kucherov on the power play, right? How he can just beat you with a simple shot like through the 5 hole. It's not going to be a beautiful slap shot, but then he's also a fantastic passer. Like, Timmy's got to develop that B side of his game because on the power play, it's so predictable how he just walks down and he's going to either pass it down low to Drake Batherson or swing it back up high for Sanderson. And he's going to do a good job at those things, but there's only 2 options there instead of 5, maybe.
I totally agree. It feels like he's kind of settling into playing one way when we know
Yeah,
that he has the versatility and he has the
definitely.
skill to be able to be both a passing and a shooting threat. But yeah, it feels like he's getting like a little bit complacent or comfortable just playing one way and not really like challenging goalies as the shooting threat. And
Yeah.
at a certain point, then the opponents see it coming, right? They anticipate his passes and then they'll pick them off. There was that I think it was a 4-on-2 rush in the second period where he got the puck on the right wing and he tried to force it back into the middle to I think it was Batherson or Perron, and it just got picked off so easily by the Sabres back checker because you knew that even though he was on his shooting side, you knew that Timmy wasn't just gonna like rifle it to the net. Even though
Yeah.
he had 3 teammates crashing the crease, could have shot for a rebound, he just sent it right back into the middle, and
Why does he do
opponents
that?
are anticipating these passes.
Exactly. I'm looking at the shots right here for the Ottawa Senators. Brady Tkachuk obviously is an anomaly because he is just Brady Tkachuk. He's a different animal out there. He has 293 shots this year, so that's around, I guess, 4 per game. But then there's a huge drop off. Like, Drake Batherson is second at 167. Then
Yeah.
Jake Sanderson, Thomas Chabot, and then Tim Stützle. Tim Stützle has 138, which means that he has less than 2 shots per game, and he's playing 20 minutes a night. I'm sorry, man. Like, you can't be doing that, especially when you're not getting any PK time. You're getting first line power play time. You played 24 minutes tonight. And he got 4 shots tonight, but that's also, I think, because he was obviously getting frustrated. I don't blame him. But yeah, like because the goal scoring there, like he has a 15% shooting percentage, so it's not like he's not finishing it this year. Last year it was harder for him. Just going back here, like 2023 when he had that 39 goal season, he
I'm
probably would
glad
have
you
hit
mentioned
40.
this because I actually can't believe how much his shooting has dropped off. The
Yeah.
2023 season, do you have it up there?
Yeah. So it's 17%. He shot the puck 228 times, which is
Hmm.
100 times less basically than this year.
Yeah, it's a difference of 90 shots more in that season with 5 more games played. Or actually, I think it's not updated for tonight, so I think 4 more games played.
Yeah.
And even last year, he's on pace for less shots than last year. And last year he had a broken wrist the whole season, and he still shot the
Exactly.
puck more. Like his percentage was worse because he physically couldn't shoot the puck, but he still did shoot the puck more last year. So that's
Yeah.
actually shocking.
Yeah. And like, hey, also we've been a better defensive team and the shots have gone down because we played less of that high risk style this year. But still, like you're still getting power play time. And once you just become too predictable, then he's been in the league too long now where teams aren't going to be caught off guard that like he made a fantastic pass because you see the game tape. Like he I've never critiqued him for his effort. He always tries every game pretty much. And his two-way game has gotten much better. I don't even think he's like a liability down the middle. I want to check his face-off percentage this year. It's probably not awesome, but it's way better in the past couple months or so. He's at 45%, which is pretty good, like considering where he started as. So he's developing into a good center. It's us saying, please shoot the puck. Like he is a fantastic wrister. The slap shot, I don't know, maybe he could work on that, but that's why you have a guy like Alfie in your lineup or in your coaching staff is to get in this guy's head to be more selfish out there
Mhm.
because once that happens, man, the Sens are gonna be awesome. They're gonna be awesome because they're not gonna be so predictable.
Yeah, and it sucks too is that they got a shooter for Tim Stutz's line in Fabian Zetterlund, and he does shoot the puck, but he doesn't score apparently.
No.
3 shots credited for him tonight. I think I felt like he had way more than that. I thought he had like 5 or 6 scoring chances. I guess there was a couple that missed the net. This guy seems to just be buzzing around the net constantly, getting chances, but not able to convert. So the 5v5 scoring struggles have returned for the Sens. They did okay with that for a couple of games against Detroit and Columbus, but it's getting to the point where you think they might have to mix up the lines again. Like I've liked
Yeah.
Zetterlund and Stützle together, but at a certain point the results just aren't there, right?
Yeah. I don't know what to say about him because he had the same thing with San Jose when he got traded there. I think he got 3 points in 17 games. So he didn't score a single goal after the Timo Meyer trade. And then he started picking it up the next few years, right? Like last year and then this year when he got traded to the Sens. And I think he's probably in his own head right now. Luckily the team's winning, so you can kind of, you know, cover some of those terms, right? Or those storylines with Zetterlund. I don't know what you do with him. I don't know. It's a tough position to be in because he's doing fine. He's a useful player to have on your team. And if you compare him to who he technically replaces on the roster, which is Noah Gregor, I think it's an upgrade because he has more skill, he has the same amount of speed, he has better hockey sense, and he has probably a better forechecking ability. I guess yeah, he can't kill penalties, but I don't know. Gregor wasn't like he was like a 12th forward at best. So like he's an upgrade technically. It's just I don't know. It's a tough start for him. I don't know where you put him because I don't think you could put him with Cozens. Like Cozens is a little bit more of a
Yeah.
shooter.
And I don't think they want to
Pinto's
break up that
shooter.
second line. They had a rough night tonight, but they've been really good for a while.
Yeah. And like hey, they're doing fine in terms of getting chances. It's just I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like it's like the Sens are not like a huge slide right now, so they can't. I don't think they should overreact to this game,
Yeah.
despite yes losing to Buffalo again. But um, like because you can't like the 5-on-5 scoring has just struggled throughout pretty much the whole year, right? And the thing is with this team is that because they just mix the lines constantly, like, don't you feel like it's every 5 games or so they just throw it into a blender again?
That's
It,
true, yeah.
like as a team on the defensive side of the puck, they can understand that as a cohesive unit, they're gonna play the same game defensively. And they're gonna know where each other are and stuff. But when it comes to the offensive side of the game, like knowing where this player is going to be in the corner, where this player is going to be in front of the net, like they don't have time to really develop that chemistry, other than it maybe being the guys who were on the team before. Like so, it's like a Chuck Giroux, like that's a line that works. Um, but now Giroux's kind of fallen back into a secondary role and stuff. So it's a tough position to be in offensively because in the playoffs, when the playoffs, the hypothetical playoffs that we might be in this year, there's less penalties, so you don't have an opportunity to score on the power play as much.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's fair as well that how you mentioned that we do have a bit of a cushion on the playoff line right now. It might start getting scary, but at least for now, maybe they shouldn't like jumble the lines too much yet. The thing is, you can afford to give these things a little bit of time, like Zetterlund on that first line. You got to think that it'll start clicking eventually. So there's that at least. It's not panic time, but it is. There are concerns, I'd say.
Yes, there are. Maybe more so with like how this team performs when Brady's out of the lineup.
Hmm.
Because yeah, they're not like cooked if he's out of the lineup. It's just they're kind of getting used to it because he hasn't been out of the lineup that much this year. Uh, these next 2 games, like, hey, I know that the boys are going to be ready for these next two. Just because that's how the Sens operate, right? They play great against the great teams, and then when they play Buffalo, they fall asleep for like a good 5 minutes, and then there's goals in the back of the net. All of a sudden, the game's done. So, like, I think they'll be ready against Tampa for sure. You gotta throw Olmark back in there. Um, yeah, I'm good for now. I don't know about you. I'm not happy about tonight. And I'm more mad at the fact that Florida just choked their lead against Montreal tonight for
Yeah,
no reason.
me too. If the Sens and Habs both lost tonight, I could have been
Yeah.
like level-headed, but
Hmm.
then the Habs comeback win right at the end of the game there, that gets me into the angry territory, but
Yeah.
that's outside of the Sens' control.
Yeah. So like we have a 5 point lead, and that's pretty good, like, to be honest, from the Habs too. I think the Jackets they have a game less than the Habs, I believe, right now. I'll just update the standings right now. But
Um,
they basically, yeah, like the
yeah,
lead
Jackets
is
game
not
in
as
hand.
much as people think it to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. From the Habs, right?
Yeah, game in hand on the Habs.
Okay. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think people just got like, and yeah, it's one loss tonight, so it doesn't affect it that much the standings. But people need to like chill all the playoff talk, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah. Oh
can
God.
we just get to like game 80 and then do it? I don't understand. Like,
That's the thing. When we win one or two games, you're like, "Oh, everything's great. Nothing is ever going to go wrong again
yeah.
and we're safe. We're easily going to get in." And then you lose one game and then it's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, actually never mind. We're going to like totally fall out." Like
Yeah.
it's hard to stay level-headed.
Yeah.
Cuz after the Columbus game, I was on here saying like, "Okay, I'm not saying playoffs for sure yet, but it's pretty safe at this point," is what I
Yeah.
was saying. And then just a couple games later and it's you're not 100% sure anymore. Like it went from like 90% sure down to like 80% sure, and then we'll see where it goes from there, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, and you can't latch on the schedule that much. I don't think the team's thinking like, oh yeah, we have an easy schedule down the stretch. We're gonna make the playoffs. It's a guarantee. Like, no. Um, and the thing is that we're actually kind of lucky in the fact that, like, there's a bunch of mid teams in the East. Like, there's not really a horrible team now. Now that Buffalo has had their second half emergence. And like, what's the worst team in the league, right? Is Boston? Yeah, Boston is the
Yeah, they
worst team.
passed Boston, which is really funny.
Yeah, and Boston's only quote unquote 30, 36, and 9. Like they could still hit, 75, 78 points on the season and be last. And the Sens are lucky in the fact that there is basically from the Habs, the second wild card, down to the last team in the East, which is Boston. There is a 10-point difference, and that's it. Like, the Bruins could technically still make the playoffs.
They're not eliminated yet. That's
They're-
funny.
At game 75, the last team in the East, and that's because there's so many teams just picking up the points, and no one really wants the second wild card spot. But also, like, the Sens are on pace for probably 94 points. I know we've had a good year, but that's not that like awesome. It's not.
Yeah, it's a
know?
lower barrier to get into the playoffs this year. Like
Definitely.
sometimes it's damn near like 100 points for all 8 playoff teams. Not quite so much this year. So we're fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, like I'll take playoffs obviously, but yeah, we wouldn't be in the playoffs in the West. We would be 3 points back of the Blues with the game in hand.
Hmm.
So thank goodness that there's a bunch of other teams in the East that have been not good and underperforming this year, or else we would be out of it probably, or we might be the second wild card. We might be, but that we also be battling it out. So yeah, like when people say, "Oh, we have it locked down," like it's not locked down. You got to win at least like 3 more to feel good, and you got to hope that the teams below you are kind of 500, and then you're happy about it. But we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to see when this team can clinch. It might go down to the wire, like it might go down to game 80.
Yeah, it's
Happens.
8 games left. I'd say you would want to win at least 5 to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And there's some difficult matchups in there against the Florida teams and against Carolina, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes. But before we continue, just going to give a quick ad read for our Patreon. If you're looking for ways to help an upstart media company employing over 30 young journalists and analysts across Canada, and if you have a few spare bucks kicking around, you can head to our Patreon page at patreon.com/thegameovernetwork. There you'll find multiple tiers featuring different rewards and goodies for helping us grow. There's extra access, exclusive looks behind the scenes, Discord benefits, merch discounts, and opportunities to give us feedback. And you can even join us for special shows live, where you can interact with hosts as we launch more ways to improve your experience. If you're not able to spare a few dollars, we do have a free tier available as well, so you don't miss out. If you really want to help us, make sure to click like and subscribe on YouTube, rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcast app, and share our work on your social media of choice. It's patreon.com/the Game Over Network. Now, for the second segment tonight, I figured we'd talk basically about what went wrong for the Sens for defense and goaltending tonight, because obviously I would say the main problem today was not being able to finish. That easily could have been like a 4-4 game heading into overtime, but the problem is you're chasing the game pretty much from the get-go after that crappy first period. So I think to start off with goaltending, like you said earlier, I think you have to go back to Linus Ullmark for the next game. You got to just ride your best goalie as much as possible, even if he's not on top of his game. At this point in the season, you need him to be ready for the playoffs. I would say tonight was one of his worst games of the season. I would say those first 2 goals in the first period were basically entirely on him. He needed to have those. I'll cut him some slack for the third and fourth goals, though. I think those ones were more just terrible defending and the turnover from Cozens on that third goal. But like overall, I still think Ullmark has been pretty good since the Four Nations break. It's just unfortunate how he seems to be kind of on and off. It'll be like an amazing game one night and then kind of subpar game the next night, like 3 or 4 goals against, a couple that are a little soft. And I just felt like the first 2 goals were really deflating tonight, because even though the Sens didn't have too much jump and like absolutely blew all those power plays in the first period, it sucked to be down 2-0 in a period where you outshot them. I think it was 12-5. So
yeah,
even though the offense was a huge problem tonight, the fact that they were just down early because of goaltending and defense was just as big of a problem, really, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I was saying, it just felt like the Sens of old when they would just, have a great performance in the first and then let in a couple and the game's pretty much over then.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a bad mentality to have, and I hadn't had it for a long time because this team has like played their game for 80% of the season, really. When they get the first goal, pretty much that's a win. Like pretty much. They do a great job at defending. Um, like, and yeah, they might let a couple slip, but they have had a ton of like gutsy wins this year where they've won 4-3, they've won 3-2. Like classic example is against Detroit, right? They go up as 4-1 and then it's 11-2, but they don't allow the fourth one, so you take the win. And then the same thing with Columbus, they're up 3-1. Marchenko scores. It's getting close, but they win in the regulation. But when it's the other way around, they don't really have they don't they're not the comeback kids. Like this team isn't the comeback kids. Like we've been sort of spoiled in a way with the Sens over the years with these like the pesky Sens and 2017 with these like crazy comebacks for whatever reason it is. Like it's not really a stat, right? There's no stat that you can throw out to say why like teams may come back in the NHL and score 3 goals to tie the game up. The Sens haven't been good at that, and you gotta wonder, right? It's probably an internal thing, like when it comes to the room and their like true belief and how they can come back in these games, right? Because eventually, like, hey, like let's say they make the playoffs and they want to win a series, they have to have these like clutch comebacks.
Hmm.
Like they gotta have one of them in there to win a series if it goes to 7, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it just seems like as soon as the opponent gets to the first goal in a Sens game, it's just bad vibes for the rest of the way.
Yeah,
Like
or
you
to get
said,
second.
there's been a couple of comebacks this season, but it's really that's not this team's specialty. And I don't know, like maybe it's just that maybe it's just that teams that are worse are able to make those comebacks a little easier because the opposition kind of counts them out when they've got a
Yeah.
lead, and then a better team can actually get a lead and defend it. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain how this team just kind of lost the ability to make comebacks. But thing is, like when you go down 4-1 in the third, it's going to be very statistically unlikely to make that comeback regardless. So
Yeah, definitely.
in the end, the the defensive side of the game was just not there tonight.
Yeah. Like, okay, can you name like games of the year where the Sens made a comeback? Because we're almost done here of the season.
So the obvious one is the Boston game where I think it was
Yeah.
5-3 with the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I think there was one other one, but I can't even remember like what game I'm thinking of.
The Rangers at home.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I was
Yeah.
there. I was there at that game,
Yeah.
and I couldn't
Yeah.
remember it somehow. But those are two. That's like pretty much
Yeah.
the only two, right?
Yeah. And like, I don't know, it should be that rare though. There might be another one in there that I'm missing, but it should be that rare to make a comeback, especially when it's only 2 goals. It's not like you're
Yeah.
down 4-0. Uh, or sorry, there was the Washington game. They didn't win, but they got a point.
Yeah.
So
True.
okay, that's 3. But out of 74 games, I don't know. I would like a little more in there. And that's what I'm saying with this team. Sometimes that we haven't I haven't mentioned this term, and I remember mentioning with you at the start of the year because that was before the team got over the hump, and that was mental block. Is because I think we did a game against I think it was Colorado against Vancouver, where they would like make these comebacks, and then it'll be a 1 goal game, and then they would allow the empty netter,
Yeah.
and then
The
they would
fake
get equals.
comebacks.
Exactly. Uh, like they'll make a great push at the end, and they did that tonight. Like when Shane Pinto missed that, uh, like Amadio made a sweet feed to Pinto with like 5 minutes left. He did forehand, backhand, and he got sort of like tripped, I think. But then I think he hit Reimer's pad. I was like, okay, it's over now. Like
Yeah, like that was the chance. Like if they
Yeah.
scored that one, then you would have started to believe. But
Definitely.
at that point, they were run out of time with that one not going in.
Yeah.
I just did a quick search of wins when trailing.
Yeah.
So the Sens are not the worst.
Okay.
The actual worst teams are at the bottom for this, which is Sharks, Blackhawks, Bruins, Sabres. But the Sens, so basically, according to this, which is morehockeystats.com, I've never seen this source before, but I'm going to assume it's accurate. The Sens have won when not scoring first 10 times. So which it says like a comeback from being down one, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and then from coming back from down 2 or more goals to win, only 3 times in the whole season, which is 2 of the ones we named, and then I don't remember what the other one was, and then coming back from 3 goals down to win 0.
Yeah.
Like you said, the one game against Washington, they did do that, but then it ended up being a shootout loss. So that does rank like near the bottom of the league. It's like inside the bottom 10 in terms of come from behind wins. So good teams are able to pull it off. Like
And
it's tough to come back from like 2 down. Like the most that anyone has is 8 wins from 2 down, but still.
We're not a bad team, obviously, but we're kind of like in the upper portion of middling. So
exactly.
And we're lucky, and I think we're probably like 16th or 15th ranked around the league. So we're literally in the middle. And I know people are talking about how this has been a successful year, and like it is like for sure. But there's not a scenario like if this team falls out of the playoffs, it's a failure. I remember going into the season saying like, hey, we should be expecting playoffs, but if they miss it, then it's still a failure because this team hasn't made it in so long. I'm 23 now, and last time they made it, I was 15. So
yep.
Right, like, it's so long in my life.
I think I was 17 and I was in my first year of college. So 17 turned 18 that year. So and now I'm 26.
Yeah, like where did the time go, right? And I mean, for different people, like hey, if you're like going from 50 to 57, like maybe it's not that much of a difference. But for our lives, like we look back on where we were.
It's like a third of our lifetime of this
Exactly.
playoff drought. It's insane.
I'm just trying to look for that other comeback win. Like when was that?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
But you also got to wonder, right? Because this team obviously the management group and the coaching, they obviously did their homework over the offseason. You got to wonder, like, because they knew that this team could not make comebacks, and in the past couple of years had very rarely made any comebacks, regardless. You got to wonder, did they look to just make the defensive game as good as possible and get the first goal so that they could just like hunker down and play defensive hockey for the rest of the game? And they did that really well this year.
Because that's definitely the blueprint for the Sens.
Yeah, like, and it's a weird way because we're not used to it, sort of. Like we're not used to Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk like prioritizing defensive hockey, and like Brady hasn't. Like, he's on pace for 65 points this year. That's not really that good, considering. I guess sort of what he's paid and stuff. You kind of want to be around the point per game mark, but hey, whatever. If we're winning, we're winning. Same thing with Stützle. Like he's leading the team with I think 70 points now.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I don't think we have a guy in the 60s right now. So I think maybe Batherson's at 59, I believe. So yeah, like it's a weird position to be in, but I wonder if like that was one thing that maybe management noticed over the offseason. Like, hey, we gotta make sure that we figure out this defensive game because we're gonna get like, 5 to 10 extra wins because the comeback games are probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, and it seems to have been a smart decision for the most part over the whole greater picture of the season. That's how this team has picked up wins, is getting the lead and sitting on it. Unfortunately, not able to do that tonight. With the poor defensive performance, I'm wondering if Travis Hamonic draws back into the lineup in the next game.
No.
I know we're all dreading that, but I feel like we might have to prepare ourselves for that too. I wouldn't do it personally, but I feel like it's gonna
Hey,
happen.
yeah, our opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the defense, it's tough in a game where you totally dominate all the shot attempts and the shots on goal for 5-on-5 for the whole game. There wasn't a single Sens player below 50% for Corsi. For the actual like shots that hit the net, there was a couple of guys that were just barely below 50. But so
Yeah,
it's hard to like pinpoint who was bad defensively because it's just those moments, right? Like
yeah,
the lapse of judgment on the coverage on the 4-on-4 that led to the Thompson goal, and the turnover by Dylan Cozens on the fourth goal as well. I feel like that was a little bit of a product of chasing the game and trying to
yeah.
press for offense so hard too, because he probably should have circled back and waited for his line mates to make a change, but he decided to throw it across to the defenseman for a quick up while everyone else was changing, and then it just gets picked off so easily, right? So it's just those little moments where it's not like the team was bad overall defensively tonight, but it's just a few things that kill you.
Yeah. When you push for offense too, I don't mind that play if the coaching staff was telling them to take, high risk, high reward, because at that point what we were down 2 goals and there was 10 minutes left, you kind of got to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
so I mean the Cousins one, that's a glaring giveaway, and I know we haven't mentioned that because we talked about it before, but Dylan Cousins was a -5, or sorry, Batherson was a -5 night. Cousins was a -4. So
Yeah.
horrible night for both of them on for all goals uh from the Sabres. Just terrible, but whatever. I hope that's just a one-off. And hey, like it could be just wrong place, wrong time, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I figure we might as well get into talking about Dylan Cousins and how he's been
Sure.
for the Sens so far. I did the last game against Buffalo, and I was like, oh, I'll talk about Cousins versus Norris, and then Norris is injured, wasn't playing, and then I was at the end of the episode, I was like, I don't want to talk about this because Norris didn't even play, and then you get to a week later, and he's still not playing. But we might as well talk about Dylan Cousins, even though he had a tough night tonight. Been pretty good overall for the Sens, so we will get into that for our third segment, but just before that, want to say, if you're enjoying the show so far, you probably want more of this, right? Make sure you hit the like button on this video, click subscribe on our channel, and make sure you click the notification bell so you're alerted when we go live. If you're listening to our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating or even write a positive review. If you really like us, make sure to follow us on your favorite social media platforms. You can find the Game Over Network on Blue Sky at thegameovernetwork.com, on TikTok and Twitter at GameOverNHL, on Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn at Game Over Network. And you can find all of the Game Over Ottawa hosts' social medias in the description of every episode on YouTube. You can also find us at thegameovernetwork.com, where you can sign up for our upcoming newsletter. So yeah, third period, talking about Dylan Cousins. Obviously a rough night tonight. It's I feel like the pressure is probably up when he's facing his former team. Wasn't really able to handle that pressure too well tonight. He was better in the previous game against Buffalo, I thought. But just an unfortunate night. It sucks because, we were talking about whether or not the Sens should change up the lines at all. And I feel like when a line has as bad of a night as that second line did tonight, -5 and -4, and I'm sure Perron was like -3 as well,
Yeah.
that you would think that you should break it up. But over the course of the last 13 or 14 games since Cozens has arrived, it's been a really good line. So overall, even though it was a bad game tonight, we can put a little bit of a positive spin on it. I'm sure you agree he's been pretty good since the trade so far.
Yeah, hey, you can look at what's going and okay, this doesn't compare the two players like style wise, but Josh Norris is just not in the lineup, and he hasn't been in the lineup for I think 6 games now.
Yeah.
And that's a decent amount of time. It's not like a day-to-day injury.
If we didn't make that trade and you had Norris miss 6 games immediately after the trade deadline,
I
that
don't
would
know.
be much tougher for the Sens right now to manage, eh?
Yeah, because with like Batherson, right? He had this like rejuvenation sort of thing, and he still looks really good out there, like in terms of his confidence, his speed, his pace, and his like way of dictating the play. But yeah, and then Cousins, he's just in the lineup every night, and it's like I'm sorry, it's just kind of how it goes. And when you are a top six player, and I think that's what Cousins is, like he's 24 now, so he's not a kid anymore. And there's not really a ton of growth left to go, but that's a guy who you can just build within. And making 7.1 million cap, like arguably right now, he's not worth it, but if he's scoring it the way he's scoring right now, he's got 9 points in I think 13 games. That's worth, I think that's worth around $7.1 million.
Especially
And
with the cap going up, that
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
becomes second line center money for sure. And the
definitely.
production is right on for what you would want from a high end second liner.
Yeah. And he's a good, like he's, you can tell he's just being good at hockey is like his entire life. And he knows how to just play the game the right way. Like he's got a good work ethic. Tonight's like a horrible night to talk about him.
Yeah, it's funny.
But like he has good speed, he has a good shot. I don't know, his hands aren't like awesome, but also Norris's hands weren't awesome too. Like Norris was purely a finisher and like a defensive centerman and a finisher. That's what he was. But he would never carry the play by himself. With Cousins, he's better at, I think, rushing the puck up.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be the best playmaker in the world, I don't think, and have like super soft hands like Stutzler or something like that. But he adds still a shooting element, and I think being a right shot as well on the power play that will like throw teams off a little bit more because Stutzler can go on his offside, and it just opens up a lot more. So, and he's also 6'3", and he also is at like a 55% rate in the faceoff dot. I don't think he should be killing penalties. It looks like he sort of is, like he's on like the third unit right now.
Yeah.
But like he can step in, I think. But like good player, like really no issues, no
Mhm.
issues.
I decided to pull some stats to sort of compare Cousins and Norris, specifically the games that Norris played for the Sens this season, and then the, to be fair, small sample size of the games that Cozens played for the Sens. So obviously all of these stats are from before the game because specifically the defensive
Yeah,
stats have taken a big hit with the crappy performance tonight. But I think the major thing and the major, well, two major reasons why Steve Staios made this trade. The first one being the playmaking ability, even though like you said, he's not going to be like a superstar playmaker like Stutzla, but it's definitely ahead of Josh Norris. It's like
yeah,
Josh Norris was good at shooting the puck, finishing, and penalty killing,
yeah.
whereas
Face
Cozens
offs.
is considerably better at the playmaking specifically and 5v5 scoring. In the 12 game sample size before tonight, Cozens had 5 primary assists at 5v5,
Mm,
and in 53 games for the Sens, Norris only had 1,
that's
which
crazy.
is insane. And
Yeah,
that's primary assists, and he only had 2 secondary assists as well for 3
yeah,
total.
that's
Obviously,
unreal.
the 5v5 goals is way in Norris's favor, with Norris having scored 9 for the Sens. Cousins only 1 so far. His other goals have come on the power play. But that's got to be the main reason. Especially we were all saying before the trade deadline was the 5v5 scoring, and we're kind of still saying it because from game to game, it's either good or it's lacking. So I think
Yeah,
that's got to be the main reason that Staios made the trade. And the other one that really stands out to me as well, even though we think of Norris as being like a pretty good defensive center, his 5v5 goal share was 18 goals for and 29 goals against for 38% goal share with the Sens this year. And I'm sure Cousins' goal share is horrible for the games that he played on Buffalo, but as soon as he got here in the first 12 games, 9 goals for and 6 goals against for a 60%, playing on that
yeah,
line with
good.
Batherson and Perron. So even though we think like, oh, Norris kills penalties, he might be better defensively. So far, Cozens on that second line has gotten better results in terms of keeping the puck out of the net. Part of that might be the on ice save percentage, which is obviously way higher for Cozens's games than Norris. But also Norris, it's a way bigger sample size too, so there was more time for the save percentage to dip over the course of 53 games with the Sens. So I feel like those are the two major things that stand out for me so far in what Cozens has changed about this team is those two things right there are very good in his favor in terms of the stats.
Yeah, I like the player. Bad night tonight, but that was his first like bad night.
Yeah.
He came in rolling, and then but the thing is, he never had like an insane night where he had like 4 points, and then didn't score for the next like four. He like had
He's
a
been
point
pretty
almost
consistent.
every game. Yeah, like
I don't
think,
know if he's had a multi-point game. I think it's like 1 point
maybe
kind of
one.
consistently for a while, right?
Maybe one in there, but
Yeah.
that's what you want out of your centerman. And yeah, so I mean, really no complaints. Like he's not like an insanely flashy player. It's just very dependable when you get down to it. And that honestly, I'll take that. Like I will take I will take Dylan Cozens over Josh Norris because of the health. Um okay, well the health is a big part. Like the two-way game is around, maybe it might be a bit worse, but he's also a right shot, so that's maybe a bit better with like face-offs down the middle because Greg can take face-offs as a lefty, and then you got like Pinto, Giroux, and Cozens on as a righty, which is stacked. And then yeah, he's a bit bigger. He's a he has a little bit. He's a well-rounded skill set. I don't really have a worry about him. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
I feel
No.
like he's a player without like a really good strength where it just jumps out at you and say like this guy is really good at this one thing, but there
Yeah.
also isn't anything specifically where it's like, oh, Dylan Cozens is really bad at this other thing. Like
No.
he's very well rounded at being pretty good at all aspects of the game, not really like amazing at one thing or really bad at another thing.
Yep.
What you know what, I was gonna mention another stat and I forgot what I was gonna say.
Norris, Cousins.
What was it? I don't
I
know.
don't
We'll
know.
we'll,
I'm
we'll move
thinking
on.
center
We'll move
centerman.
on.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you know what it was? Is the hits? Is Josh
Yeah.
Norris was pretty good at hitting this season, surprisingly, but
Yeah.
Cozens has come in and been more physical than him. Like Norris had about 2.3 hits per game with the Sens, and then Cozens has come in and had 2.66 hits per game. So
Okay.
the physicality too is nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, like hits can be skewed too, and I'm not trying to hate on Norris too much, but I don't seem to remember him throwing like a huge hit that just like changed the game and stuff.
Yeah, like I was surprised that his numbers were that high.
Yeah, I was too, and I mean, respect for him to playing with an edge and stuff, and he never like crossed the line or anything like that. It's just that's kind of it's an additional stat, but it doesn't mean that you're good at a particular thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's all I'll say about the hits. That's because
Yeah. And then I think the last thing I'll say is like obviously I mentioned the primary assists at 5v5. I think it's also no coincidence that like for a while Drake Batherson had that run of 3 goals in 30 games.
Ugh.
And then Dylan Cozens comes in and Batherson has like 5 or 6 goals since
Yeah.
then. So
Yeah.
that is just like the proof is in the pudding right there in terms of the results.
Trades work, and sometimes you got to make the players uncomfortable. And
Mhm.
Steve Stais made a calculated decision, and you can't like these guys aren't kids anymore. You kind of got to grow up in a way, and I love how I'm saying that. And I'm probably younger than most of them, but that's the professional business. So
Yeah. And the fact that Cozens is, I think, about 700 or 800K cheaper on the cap and still signed long term,
yeah,
and then you somehow got a second round pick in that trade, I'd say it's looking pretty good overall.
yeah, yeah. And Gilbert.
Yeah, Dennis Gilbert, who has made one
Gilbert.
appearance for the Sens. I don't know if we're
Yeah.
ever going to see this guy on the ice ever again.
He's giving Yurki Yoki Paka vibes.
Oh yeah, they had to get a new Yurki Yokipaka because I think we had him for 2017, right? Like
Yeah,
he was there for the playoff run but never played. Maybe
never.
maybe he will be a good luck charm. Maybe Yokipaka
Maybe.
was the secret reason why we went on that run. And
Yeah.
Dennis Gilbert can do that for us too.
Good locker room guy, Yurki Yoki Paka.
I guess I would say that if the Sens do clinch with a couple games remaining, then we probably do see Dennis Gilbert play a game and give Shabbat or Sanderson the night off. But
Definitely.
only if we clinch early or if one of them gets injured before then.
Yeah, but I honestly, I'm just gonna shut that conversation down about playoffs tonight. I don't think we deserve to talk about it.
Yeah. We'll see what happens from here on out. It's
Yeah,
the odds are in our favor, but we don't know. You never know what you're gonna get from night to night with this team. It feels like.
definitely not. No, no. I'm like, hey, if we win a game, sure. Maybe I'll slip in a couple mentions about who I want to play in playoffs. But when you lose to Buffalo, you don't deserve it. I don't think.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Um, we might as well start wrapping it up now. I'll hit the buzzer for the fourth period, see what we got going on in chat. We got Grant tuning in, Rusty saying happy that Buffalo is not making the playoffs. Yeah, somehow it's so weird how this happens, and you have like Montreal sweeping the season series on Florida too. Like obviously Montreal could be a playoff team, but like insane that Florida
Mhm.
can't get one game against them, and insane that the Sens can't get one game against Buffalo. It's just ridiculous. But Buffalo, like honestly, I don't think they're that far off from the playoffs technically because their offense is really good. They just need to figure out
Yeah.
that the defensive play and the goaltending. Really, that's the thing.
They're basically what the Sens are like. They don't have the grittiness the Sens figured out this year. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the grind of just getting 2 points. Like they don't,
Yeah.
and then they can their goal differential's like not bad, and it wasn't last year and the year before, just because they have talent. It's just they don't have the ability to like hunker down and go on like a nice 4 game win streak and win all your games 3-2. Like it either
Mm-hmm.
has to be like 6-3 or you lose like 13 in a row like it did. So
Yeah. Um, Grant saying UPL, the goalie for Buffalo, has been run into the ground, and that's where I thought the Sens would have gotten the better of Buffalo. But yeah, they didn't even. They're just playing James Reimer at this point. They know that James Reimer is the fucking cheat code against the Sens, so
insane.
doesn't even matter what's going on with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. They just throw James Reimer in there, and somehow they beat the Sens
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Crazy. Um. Grant also saying he tuned into the show many times last year, and it was brutal with all the losses. To be honest, the fact that we got shut down like halfway through the season last year was nice because it was like I was like, holy shit, I don't want to talk about this team anymore for the rest because
Yeah.
we stopped in January and the Sens were already like totally out of it by that point. So even though playoffs is not confirmed yet, this has been way more fun to cover the team, even with the
Yeah.
stinkers on certain nights this year.
Yeah, there has been. Like I don't know if you're a good like I'm wondering how many stinkers like Dallas has had this year. Maybe like two, and we probably had five. Two
Mm-hmm.
against Buffalo, Colorado the other night. I'm trying to think at the start of the year. It's crazy the amount of just storylines that go in an 82 game season when you're like in the hunt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we haven't had this for a long time. It's either okay, the start, October, decent start, November, trash, and then you're basically out of it. A good, last 20 games or so where you go like 13-6-1, and then you get like the 10th overall pick. And that's like it's like there's three waves of the season. And then, you know, so far it's been like we've had like 2 6 game win streaks, I think,
Mm-hmm.
3 5 game win streaks, and then some like really embarrassing losses, and then yeah, like Marilinen like played awesome, saved our season.
And then we haven't
Hamonic in the
seen him in
top
months
four.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's been a weird year, but I'll take where we're at, to be
It's
honest.
been a roller coaster for sure, but
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get there in the end. They're gonna have to avoid having another losing streak because, as you said, 2 6-game winning streaks this year, and then I think both of them were followed up by like major losing streaks that were almost as long as the winning streaks too. So, tough one again against Buffalo, but tougher opponents coming into town with Tampa Bay and Florida up next. I think Charlie will host against the post game against the Lightning on Thursday. So that'll be our next broadcast. I think that'll do it for tonight. Thank you everyone so much for watching or listening. Leave a like on YouTube if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we go live after Sens games. Thanks for watching or listening, everyone. Have a good night.